The small business optimism index just came out and it had the first increase in 6 months. It rose 0.4% in July to hit 89.9. However, it is the sixth consecutive monthly low below the 48-year low average, of 98. Guys, that's a big, big difference. Now, the small business owners are just like you. Their biggest concern is inflation. Second biggest concern, though, is supply chains. As we all know, it's hard for them to get product in, to make more product, to sell more product, to generate more revenue. And third, hiring. There's still about double the number of job openings as there are people looking for jobs. That is reality. I had an anecdote. Yesterday, I went to lunch with a very good friend of mine. A guy talked about investing all the time. He has a lot of clients, and he said one of his clients told him that a friend of theirs had recently sold their used car for a profit, and decided to take the proceeds and not work. They're like, hey, they net $40,000 out of it. They're going to move back in with their parents. They're 25, 26-year-old, and just not work for a year or two. And we just sat there laughing, going, are you serious? Literally, the person sold a car just to be able to not work. Now, I'm not going to get into any judgmental part of it. More power to them, do whatever they want. But when I was a kid, when I was 25, 26, I never heard of that. But this is a new way of being because of how much in demand. When that person wants to get a job again, they'll probably be able to. And this is a big reason why unemployment remains low, because there's still the supply side of workers is still very, very low. And that's important. So if you're new to this channel, I'm Paul. I'm a value investor. I don't like to make as many predictions about what's going to happen in the economy. What I like to do is make conservative ideas of the economic future and buy companies and investments that work very well in that conservative realm. I evaluate everything that I see based on what it is right then and there. Now, there are certain things that are going to make me think one way or another, and that will be used as part of my analysis for companies. But my goal is to buy good companies at good prices. So part of this report also, owners expecting better business conditions over the next 6 months did increase 9 points. Now, why could that be? You know, my personal opinion is I look at the stock market being up 9% in July, and it probably made a lot of people feel better about the economy, seeing unemployment lower, et cetera, made them feel better. You got to remember, GDP still did contract for the second quarter in a row. So if you've watched this channel before, there's an ongoing joke. I have 8 or 9 small businesses upstairs. They range all across the spectrum of industries. Now, my small businesses are small. In total, they all do about a little over $20 million in revenue a year in total for 8 or 9 businesses, which you might sit there and say, oh my God, that's really big. And it is, but by the definition of a small business, they all still qualify as small businesses. Now, we are still growing like crazy. What I always encourage people, small businesses are just like individual people. If you as a person is not making yourself better, not learning more, getting more skills to make your value greater, you are going to be hurt more during downtimes. Same with a small business. If you view your small business as just a way of paying yourself a salary, it will be harder when times are tough. I can't stand Robert Kiyosaki. However, I will say that I once heard him say a great thing. He once during a recession pulled out the newspaper and showed all the companies that were advertising and said, guys, these are the companies that are going to make it. Because advertising is one of the easiest things to cut during recession, and they weren't doing it. And I agree. If you're a small business or people that you know have a small business and they're cutting it back on things that make the business grow during times of uncertainty, watch out. If you view a small business, if you have a small business out there and you view it as a way of just getting a salary and you hope that the economy works out for you, be careful. Live within your means. Pay yourself a portion of your profit. If you sit there and say, well, I need all my profit in order to grow, go figure out a way to make more profit then. I know that sounds easier said than done, but that's the reality, just like you as an individual. If you live within your means and you save your money, when recessions hit and downtimes hit, you'll be affected a lot less. And that is the goal of everything. You want to be able to sleep well at night. One of our most exciting businesses upstairs is we have 3 vacation rentals 2 in Mexico, 1 in Turks and Caicos, and we also have a few that we work with abroad. It's called Luxury Escapes International. If you want to check it out, luxuryei.com. Now, the reason this business is exciting is these are beautiful homes with staff on the water, overlooking the water. They're highly luxurious. We've had billionaires visit them. Now, during an economic recession, I can assure you that the demand for our product will go down. However, what we do to counteract that is we have a strong sales team and we over-advertise. We make sure we have more demand than supply available. There are 52 weeks in a year. We try to sell 60 weeks or more per house per year. Why? Because when demand does decrease from a recession or something, if that 60 goes to 45, it's still better than our projected 30 to 35 weeks we need to sell to justify our investment. That is what we do. Our goal is to oversell during good times. That way, when bad times hit, our sales are still good enough to justify our investment and get our good return on our investment. And when times are good, we are crushing our investment. And that's the goal for everybody out there. Same thing. Go oversave. Go spend less than you make. That way, when times are bad, you are sitting in a good position. Is that sexy? No, it's not. But you know what isn't sexy? Not being able to sleep at night because you don't know if you're going to be able to pay your mortgage or car payment or things like that. Now, you're probably watching this channel because you take investing very seriously. I want you to have the same approach to investing as you do to that personal life. Have a margin of safety in all of your investments. Just this morning, I was looking at puts on companies like Best Buy, Micron, things like that. What I'm doing when I sell a put is I'm selling some of the option at a much lower price to be able to buy the company at a much lower price at a future date. They are paying me to wait for a price that I want. Give yourself more margin of safety. Give yourself in your investments and your personal life and your small business more margin of safety. That will allow you, people in the book, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel talks about, your main goal is to stay in the game. And the more margin of safety you have, the longer you'll stay in the game. Now, does that mean save 80% of your income? Well, if you make a few $1 million a year, yeah, probably. But if you don't, no. It just means live the life you want to live, but pay yourself savings first. Figure out the life you want to live in the future and pay yourself that return you need to get. Put that money away so that when that time comes in the future, you're not worried about being able to retire. So right now, in addition to small business sentiment, we have consumer sentiment at lowest levels in history, even below COVID, 9/11, and 1982. We have small business sentiment not good. Okay, remember that recessions are not announced right when they start. The start is announced 9, 12 months later. So if we are in a recession, 70% of GDP is consumer spending. That's why I think a recession is probably more likely. But again, I'm not going to go sit there and change my investment decisions based on a recession. But be prepared. If you need to start alter your spending. Now, you might sit there and say, well, Paul, if we all alter our spending, that'll drive a recession. I know. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. However, right now, I believe that the demand for labor and the supply is masking the true issues in the economy. I'm okay with that. But for you as an investor and individual at home, make sure you just account for this and plan ahead. Yes, the White House is saying there's no recession. Be that as it may, when if a recession does hit, which by the way, they're supposed to hit. Recessions are part of life. Just like getting the flu is part of life. You will get sick, you'll get cold. It doesn't mean that you're going to die. It just means that you have to prepare appropriately for it and be ready for it when it does happen. Make sure you have your medicine, etc. That's all we're trying to do here. Just be prepared. When times are best, you're going to hear me always expressing caution. The reverse of that is when times feel the worst, you'll probably be seeing me being the optimistic guys. We will get through it. It'll be better. Now is the time to be a good and aggressive investor. So if that is appealing to you and you like what I've said so far, I ask you to do one thing. Please subscribe to the channel, share this video with somebody else. I do 3 or 4 videos a day providing insight on the economy and individual investments. Finally, one thing I want you to do also is after this video, if you want to learn more about me, come click this next fun video where we ask 10 questions of Seth, Mo, and I, and we donate to charity if we don't want to answer the questions. Thank you very much for your time.